You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
The following production is part of the We Be Geeks podcast collective.
Ian, look at this.
What, it's a police box. What on earth is he doing here? Well, these things are usually on the street. I feel it. I feel it. You feel it?
Faint vibration.
It's alive.
Earth Station Who, a fun mashup celebrating nearly 50 years of the Doctor Who universe. Hold tight. You never know where the TARDIS is going next.
You're probably a bit confused right now. I broke the glass. It's all come back to me.
What is this?
That's my ship.
What?
Let me take it from the top. Hello, I'm the Doctor. I'm a traveller in space and time. And that thing buried down there is called a TARDIS. Time and relative dimension in space. You're gonna love this.
Hey there, everyone, and Happy New Year, and welcome back to Earth Station Who. We are here for another year, and with a new year, that means a new Doctor Who special. And we got ready for this, folks. We got Revolution of the Daleks, brand new Doctor Who.
Woo! 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 Kermit Blue!
Oh, exactly. I'm excited. I was excited to say new Doctor Who was here, and we got to see it on the same day as the rest of the world, which is pretty darn amazing in itself. And, you know, we're getting spoiled here, folks, with this. We really are. You know, it used to be, oh, the holiday special's here. We'll see it in April. It used to be that way, if not like the next year in the States. But, you know, thank goodness for BBC America. Thank goodness for everything we have going on. And we get it the same day, a couple hours. And thank goodness I wasn't spoiled by anything because, boy, you know, I'd have to hold my nose even more than normal. So for a Chibnall episode. So it was good.
Aww.
So we have a great crew to talk about it this week, and we definitely would love to hear from you guys at home. Please write us at feedback@earthstationwho.com. Let us know what you guys thought about the holiday special. We definitely would love to hear from you guys. We did get a little bit of email, and some folks wrote us, and we will talk about that at the end of the show to hear what they thought about this. And in the upcoming weeks, if you guys at home want to jump in, we definitely would love to hear from you guys. All right, let's say hey to this week's crew real quick. Of course, we have our regulars. Let's say hey to Mary Ogle.
Hi, everybody. It is fantastic to be here for new Doctor Who.
And Happy New Year, Mary.
Oh, Happy New Year to you, too. Let's hope that it is about 1,000,000 times better than the last one.
I hope so. You know, you're setting the bar real low right there. So, you know, I think, you know, already, you know, the year is hopefully better. And, you know, hopefully, you know, everyone made their wishes and everything. And, you know, no breaking the New Year's resolution yet. Just remember that.
Yet.
So, you know, and Mr. Mike Gordon is with us.
Howdy.
Happy New Year, Mikey.
Happy New Year. 2021 couldn't come fast enough.
Yeah, that is for sure. Never say, you know, well, last year wasn't that great. How bad could this year be? We found that out last year.
Do not even put that out there.
Don't
do that.
So we have a couple of guests sitting in with us. First, of course, returning to the show, Rob McIntyre is coming back with us.
Hi, guys. Great to be here, and Happy New Year to you all.
You have had enough 2020. I think you are ready for a fresh start, my friend.
Yeah. Few health issues, but I'm fine.
I am so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
You know, you're in the dark. If you were looking at video at home, folks, Rob is all in the dark. He's not showing that his whole bottom body is cyber now. So, you know.
And he has no pants.
Oh, and you had to tell us that, Mary. That's a picture I just didn't need. So
I am cool. In the Jim Jims.
Exactly. Well, that's And also joining us from the UK, we have a twofer tonight. Let's welcome Dan Hitch from the Cosmic Pizza Podcast, a new member of the ESO Network. Welcome, Dan.
Hello, everybody. It's lovely to see everyone. It's lovely to see people.
Anybody.
Exactly.
Anyone.
Anybody out there? Hello? You on the street. I don't want to get within 6 feet, but hello. So.
Are you real?
Are you real? You want to tell everyone a little bit about Cosmic Pizza while we're talking?
I will, yes. We're the new boys. We're the new boys on the block. We've just opened up a pizza restaurant during a pandemic, so that was a good idea. But no, the idea is the Cosmic Pizza Podcast. We are serving slices of life every episode. It's sort of a general chit-chat show on topics, interviews. We do sort of geeky talk. Sometimes we do film fight nights where we take two people, one who hate the movie and one will love the movie, and they have to fight it out over a slice of pizza, and just general silliness between three guys. Myself, and it's Sean Vanderloo, who you may know from the Rusted Robot podcast and the Soulforge podcast, and also Paul Wright, who used to host the Sci-Fi Waffle podcast with Sean as well.
I see a food theme here. I don't know why.
Yeah. That was what everyone thought. Any American listeners thought it was sci-fi waffles and, we were going to just have breakfast together and all this sort of thing. But in the UK, waffle means to talk too much, just like I'm doing right now. And that was basically their idea, that they were going to waffle about sci-fi. But it took different meanings depending on who was listening.
No, totally understand that. That's very awesome, and welcome aboard. And we are very happy to have you as part of the ESO Network.
Good to be here. Lovely.
And speaking of the ESO Network, we want to give a big shout out to our ESO Network patrons. Happy New Year, folks. Thank you for helping to support the ESO Network. We've got a lot of great things happening for you guys this year, and we have, exclusive material available only to our ESO patrons, and you'll be able to hear the show actually 48 hours before the rest of the world. So it's actually pretty awesome. You get that as a little bit of a bonus. You get Earth Station Who, Earth Station 1, and the Dragon Con report, which is coming back later this month. I know Mike Gordon just flinched at that one. So we have that coming back again, and that's all going to be coming to you exclusively early for our listeners. And for as little as $1 a month, you too can support the ESO Network. It doesn't hurt, and you know what? It puts the lights on in our studios and gives us this really nifty TARDIS background. So it's pretty cool, It built it by scratch, you could tell, So it's pretty awesome. Definitely check it out. Patreon.com/ESO Network. Join in the fun. It's a lot of things, and we thank you for that.
How many people in the universe get to meet the Doctor? Let alone travel with her. Being with the Doctor, you don't get to choose when it stops. Whether you leave her or she leaves you.
The Doc would really want us to keep an eye on the planet, right?
But how's that possible?
If you don't help, the human race is going down.
You with us?
As of now, you will see new defense drones at work.
These machines are going to change the world. Yo, remember us? I'm Captain Jack Harkness, and I'm immortal.
Are you feeling insecure? Because you seem to need a lot of praise.
Do I?
Prepare for maximum extermination.
Not you guys.
Don't move!
Now, Jack! Stay strong. People waiting for you.
All right, folks. Revolution of the Daleks. We've been holding off for long enough to talk about this one. As soon as I watched this, I wanted to talk to you guys about it because it was great getting new Doctor Who back. And it was great getting, Jodie as the Doctor. And, not my opinion on her has not changed at all. Mm-hmm. And my opinion on, our wonderful showrunner hasn't changed at all. And the companions, nothing's changed. And we got Captain Jack. We got Chris Noth back. Was anyone asking for that one? But it was interesting. Let's go ahead at the beginning of this. I want to hear what everyone's expectations were going into this before, talking about the meats and bones, because we touched on it real briefly on our last episode, that we were all excited to get new Doctor Who. But, let's start with our guests first. Rob, what was your expectation for coming into this?
I was excited because obviously we've not had anything for a while, but I have very low expectations of the Christmas or the New Year specials. They always seem to be a little disappointing. So they can be very hit and miss. So I hadn't got the bar set too high, but again it was a Dalek story, so I was hoping. And to be honest, I wasn't too disappointed. I'll leave it there.
That's awesome. Okay, that's good. That's good. It's leaving us. What do we want next? Daniel, what about you?
My expectations weren't that high because it's been such a tumultuous year, and because we had Doctor Who before everything happened to the world, and then we have Doctor Who now just as we're sort of clawing our way out of it with various vaccines coming into the world. It kind of felt like it was framing everything. It was like a treat. We were coming back to the show and trying to get back to normal again. And I think even the episode kind of acknowledged that by being quite vague in when this was all going on. Even though they mentioned 2019, even though they hark back to previous episodes, it was almost like, forget everything else for a little bit. Just spend 45 minutes with us. Just relax. This is Doctor Who. This is the Daleks. This is something and just have a bit of fun for a change. And just as Rob said, I wasn't disappointed. There were a few things that maybe I would have liked to have seen explored or changed or done differently. But overall, I enjoyed this as one of the breakaway seasonal holiday specials.
Okay. All right. Mary?
Well, like everyone else, my expectations were pretty low, mostly because of Chris Chibnall, who is not my favorite writer. But I will say I did enjoy his last New Year's special, and this one was kind of on par with that one. I may have liked the other one a little bit better, but I was pleasantly surprised. There were things about it that were so-so, but there were also some really nice moments.
Okay. Awesome. Mikey?
Well, despite the fact that I try to stay away from, spoilers or information, I mean, it was difficult to do that when this was the only Doctor Who that we were going to be getting in a foreseeable future, right? So, I looking at the trailers and everything, I was expecting that obviously it's a Dalek episode. Those are a toss-up. To Mary's point, yes, Chris Chibnall's not my favorite writer, but he's better. I'll put him over Terry Nation any day.
So talk about setting low bar there. Low bar, Mikey.
We hey, look, we're just coming out of a year that was a low bar. So, and we had just watched a lot of like Dalek episodes, a lot of Dalek stories with some that were written by him, etc. So that was fresh on my mind. Okay, it's another Dalek story. They're throwing Captain Jack in here. We've got the character of Jack Robinson returning. So there's going to be some stuff that's following up. I knew that this was going to be a sort of an epilogue from the finale, as well as maybe even a prelude to what's happening next. So that's a lot to happen in a hour and a half, 2 hours, however long it is with ads. I don't know how, I don't really have a lot of faith in Chibnall to be able to juggle all those balls and not drop a couple. And yes, he did. There was a couple of balls dropped, but otherwise, I think since it's a New Year's episode, a New Year's Day episode, it's okay to drop a ball, right? That's what happens on New Year's, right? But
I see what you did there. I see what you did, Mike.
But overall, I thought Chibnall played it safe. This is a very safe episode. It's a safe story. It doesn't really It's not like it doesn't try to, it's not too ambitious, but it also, is kind of, not one of the greatest. So I think he played it safe and good for him, because it was just exactly what I think I needed.
Okay, that's fair enough. For me, it was pretty much what everyone said. I was thrilled to get new Doctor Who. I was thrilled to see a new Doctor Who story. Too bad I felt like while I was watching this, I've seen it all before. I really
That's because you have seen it all before.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Safe.
He played it real safe. He didn't show us anything new. He didn't show us, anything we haven't experienced on Doctor Who. He didn't really even introduce any new concepts. And let's hold off talking about the introduction of the new companion to the end of our reviews and everything. Okay, let's just stay right there, right off the bat. But, let's talk about the meat and bread of the story. The Doctor, when we first saw her in this storyline, she was basically still in prison. And the way the trailer showed it, we thought it was going to be Jack and the companions taking on the Daleks, and the Doctor was going to be in prison the whole time. And it was going to be a Dr. Light story. We didn't get that. We got full-on Jodie as the Doctor, which was awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad we didn't get that. I was afraid of that.
Yeah, very much so. And one of the things I noticed in this was let's jump in and let's talk about first her in the prison. Or as I like to call it, the who's who of Doctor Who villainy. It was like every person in that prison was the Doctor, past foe of the Doctor. And that kind of, they didn't mention if it was Shada. It was just an asteroid prison. They didn't name it. They didn't tie it into the Time Lords, anything. They didn't even say if it was run by the Shadow Proclamation or anything. And because that's where the Juju disruptor.
I don't think we're privy to exactly why she was put in there, are we?
Well, 7,000 and fractions or whatever it was.
Yeah, exactly. They stopped at 7,000, the first 7,000.
Yeah. I mean, she said it was just for being her, and I get that, but I guess that last one broke the was the one that they went, okay, now we have to.
Well, that's the one they caught her at.
I did think it was interesting they didn't show you who was running the prison, because I was expecting to see Jadun. And there were no Jadun.
Yeah, I thought so also.
And maybe an explanation on how they actually got into a TARDIS. And there were nothing.
Yeah, exactly. There was nothing.
Yeah, they didn't touch on that at all.
There was a plot hole right there, right through that you could fly a TARDIS through. and it was interesting seeing the different villains and everything, because I think I had, basically I saw a Silence, I saw an Angel, I saw that little metal eating thing. The Bating. You also saw Sycorax wearing its mask. Even, why was it wearing its battle mask in prison? You also saw Silence, and it's just like
masks are required now.
Okay.
It was wearing a mask.
Even in space prison.
It should be committed for wearing a mask.
Exactly. So, but yeah, and it was just like a lot of that just didn't make sense, and that they were all still caged up. In most prisons, a lot of the prisoners are just thrown into for exercise. They're all thrown into the yard together. And it would have been really interesting to see the Doctor in the yard with all those villains.
I could see why they wouldn't have them all out in the yard at the same time. I mean, I don't know. Those little quibbles didn't really bother me. You only saw them for two seconds.
Yeah. And look, I mean, we've learned, right? Especially with Chibnall's run. If you start nitpicking and analyzing, that's a hole that you're just not going to be able to dig yourself out of.
Exactly.
So just take it at face value and just move on, because it is what it is. I think the thing that I was, I've been really sensitive to the fact that throughout Jodie's run, I think that they've kind of depowered the Doctor in a lot of ways. And I think that they've undermined her in a lot of ways. And I don't know, I kind of felt that way in the beginning of this too, where she had to be rescued by Captain Jack. And I don't want to put like a, sexism on it or anything, because, obviously we don't know. But, I just find it hard to believe that if it was, David Tennant or Matt Smith or somebody, that they would be able to get out of it on their own. Like, Jack would attempt it, but then something would go wrong and the Doctor would save the day. Like, the Doctor has to be the smartest one in the room. And throughout Jodie's run, she hasn't been. And I've taken issue with that, and I think that's true of this episode as well.
Mm-hmm. I
At
agree
least
with
for
that
that
completely.
scene, yes.
Yeah.
Well, for most of the rest of the story too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
I
like-
think she had some Doctor moments in this story.
She does have a few. Well, look, I mean, the fact that she's the smartest one in the room with her companions is not, I mean, we're talking low bars, right?
That's the 2020 of the TARDIS right there. But yeah,
I don't know. Actually, what bothered me more about the prison was she's sitting there going on and on about who am I, and I'm like, oh, I'm so tired of that, because we actually went through that with all through Moffat's run. I'm a good man or a bad man or whatever.
Mhm.
What am I?
But-
And it's like, you are what you are. Can we just move on?
Well, I kind of understand, who am I? Because she's just discovering, well, now that she's been there for decades, supposedly, that she was, half her history she doesn't remember.
Yeah, but that's a stupid plot line. That is.
But it still
I really
exists.
wish they would.
But it still exists.
I know it exists, and I'm sorry it exists because it's lazy writing.
It is lazy writing.
True.
So let's move on from the prison because, yeah. And, it was great to see Jack, but they had to rehash that thing. A time vortex manipulator, where did that come from? Oh, I won't tell you how I got that in here. He used that back in the 9th Doctor era, with the blaster. And it's just like, come on.
There was a lot of repeat stuff in this.
Yeah.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I enjoyed seeing
it worked
Jack.
once, it works again.
And that's
I
did
think he actually
I will admit I enjoyed
brought,
seeing the Jack too.
Yeah.
a little bit of fun back into the show, and I think that's one of the elements that's been missing from Chibnall's run, is the fun element that you got. No matter how bad things were, there were always a fun element within the show, either Tennant or Matt Smith or even Capaldi, and I think that's missing in Jodie's run, and Jack brought that back.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because when the episode first started, it was very dark when the driver gets killed. They set the driver up as this really sympathetic guy, and then he gets killed almost right away. And I thought, oh no, this is going to be unrelentingly dark, but it wasn't.
Now we know when we go to the UK, do not stop by any of these roadside stands.
Yes, don't ever get a cup of
you
coffee.
shouldn't do that
or
anyway.
tea.
Gee.
Don't get
that's another one of those things that if you think about it, it's like, okay, so did Robertson have agents all like at every tea stop, like on the way, like how did they know it was going to stop at that one, et cetera, et cetera? It's just
Yeah.
They didn't even go into that. Was it even Robertson behind it, or did Robertson buy it off the black market or
I
something?
thought the PM had fed him the information, or the would-be PM, sorry, had fed him the information, and then through that tip-off, he knew the sort of route the driver was going to go, and that she had tipped him off. But again, as Mike just said, that unless he owns his own version of Starbucks or whatever coffee brand he wants to have, he would have to have so many chains, and it's just that unbelievability. If he's that powerful, why did he have to go through the whole process of hijacking the lorry when he could have just redirected it?
Every
Absolutely.
tea stop has poison
exactly.
too. So
there's a trail of 4 Cortinas of all the other drivers who bought the coffee that day. It was Operation Stack. We don't like to talk about it here in Kent, but there we go.
No, it was interesting to, I like how they did tie that part in, that they got the design for the new Daleks from the one that was in the last episode. And because it looked pretty much the same, they basically scrapped it down and rebuilt it up from the same layout and design, except for they made it black, pretty much.
I love that they 3D printed it.
Yeah. Oh, it was awesome.
That was great.
That was how modern of them. But it's the same plot that we've seen. I mean, I was really reminded of the first Tennant Cybermen two-parter. I'm like, this is exactly the same plot. I will say that I did enjoy Noth and seeing Robertson again. Unlike you guys, I liked the Spider episode, and particularly I liked the Spider episode because I liked Chris Noth. I enjoyed his campy portrayal of Robinson, and I thought this story needed an over-the-top kind of guy like that. I appreciated that. I appreciated everything he brought to it, and I just love Harriet Walter. I love seeing her and stuff. I can remember seeing her in MI5 or Spooks. I remember seeing her in Law and Order UK. She was in an episode or two of Downton Abbey. She's done a ton of stuff. I think she's pretty well known, at least over there. And I thought she was perfect in the role of the Prime Minister elect, shall we say.
So now the Daleks, it's Daleks 2, Prime Ministers 0.
If only it were that easy.
Yeah, you guys do. You lose a lot of PMs.
Did anybody else pick up with Jack Robertson? Was it? He seemed to be talking to somebody on his phone, and there were a couple of scenes where he was talking to somebody, and on one of them he said, "Yeah, we've gone into full production." And I kind of got the vibe he may be coming back, and he may be being manipulated from somebody else.
I could see that. I mean, certainly they left it open to him coming back. Sure,
they seem to go to great pains to leave him alive, despite the fact he was on the ship and in the presence of so many Daleks that he should have died by now.
Yes.
But multiple
he should have
times.
died multiple
But the thing
times.
I really liked about the rollout of the Daleks, when he's doing the street demonstration, the role play, and they show that it's a water jet, not a laser, it sort of put me in mind of the reason why the Daleks were scary in the first place, back in the classic Doctor Who. Because, we'd just come out of World War II, there was still this feeling that tanks could roll down the streets, that, we were on the edge, the precipice of being invaded as a country. So naturally, a TV enemy, a sci-fi enemy, would look like a battle tank rolling down the road. In the same way that, in America, when Star Trek came out, the reason that the Klingons act the way they do is because they're like the Ruskies, they're like the Russians, they're like your real enemy that's now. So to see the Daleks being rolled out as combat drones, and we could do a whole other podcast about the ethics of combat drones and everything. It made it feel like they'd acknowledged the original reason for the Daleks to look the way they did, and why they look the way they do now as well.
Oh, sure, and the way they modernized them, and the way, it's totally, and the whole black motif of I hate to say it, the anti-police movement right now. In here in the States, and then also around the world, they the military and everything, this fit perfectly into that. And I love Jack's comments, when they were demoing it, they just used some gas, it was like smoke or something, to push the protesters back, and he says, "Oh, we're using this other kind of gas for the real thing." And he says, I think we should have done it now, just it wouldn't have hurt them.
It would have been fun if we did it now.
Exactly. It's like, oh God. And don't want to get into politics, but the Trumpisms that came out.
Well, the whole episode's about fascism.
Yeah. Oh, it
and the rise of
is.
fascism and how insidious it is and how it starts with saying, oh, we're just going to be, it's all about security.
Security. That's the key word.
Exactly. Security. And there was things. That's why I've never liked the character of Jack, and that was one of the reasons I didn't like the Spider episode. And I'm done. Especially after this last year, I am so done with that, whatever you want to call him, who's running our country, and to see him parodied with Jack up there is like, enough is already. I was rooting for the Daleks to shoot him, the whole time.
Well, you're supposed to, yes.
Yes, I think we all were. You weren't supposed to root for him.
No. And now they're calling him the hero of it.
Well, now he's going to get a knighthood.
Really?
I would like, if the next season does come, that if he's going to be this sort of carry-through villain, that the last episode, the last scene will be them rushing in at the last minute to stop the knighthood and unveil all of the evidence behind him and to crush him that way. I think that will feel, like justice has been done.
My prediction.
That one my thought. I know I keep going on. I've mentioned it before, Mike. Is the Rani? Somebody behind him.
I would love to see the Rani.
I just got that feeling that somebody.
It would be awesome to see the Rani
backing him. I've been wrong before. You never know.
That could possibly be. Well, with Chibnall, we're always wrong. So
did anybody else pick up that she didn't have a Sonic?
But no, she didn't. I never
wow,
know.
yeah, I didn't pick it up.
Well, to be fair, it was
You're
Helen, my wife,
right.
who picked that up. She said to me after, she never used a Sonic throughout the whole episode. And I re-watched it again the following morning, and yeah, she didn't.
No, Jack had his Sonic pistol, but he didn't. There was no Sonic screwdriver.
His squareness gun.
The square gun. And I loved, when he used it, he was expecting, Yaz to go, "Woo, that was awesome!" And she just went, "Thanks." And Jack was like, his feelings were hurt, like going, his manlyhood and everything. Jack worked very well with all the different characters in this, which was awesome. Too bad I can't say the same with the companions once again and everything.
Well, the beauty of having Jack on the show is that, she finally has someone at her level that she can talk to. And because unfortunately, they made it really clear. I was kind of surprised how early, how soon in the story the Doctor arrives and helps out with the threat, because I was like, okay, well, maybe this will be a chance for them finally to show that the companions are capable of at least getting to find out, to investigate a little bit deeper into the threat. But they barely got out the door.
They just get turned right around when they do try to do something by themselves.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, and I feel bad for them because, certainly the actors involved, because I know that I've seen them capable of better things. I'm happy that Yaz is staying. I do like her, and I do like the growth that she went through last year, and she's continuing that in this episode, which I thought was great. I think that Ryan actually had, out of nowhere, had a couple of good scenes in this, and I guess they figured since he's leaving, let's give him something. And
he had one good
scene. It was so starkly contrasting anything that had come before that he'd done. I was like, is this a new character? And we have to talk about the biggest injustice of all, which is the fact that Graham doesn't get squat to do in this story.
Nope,
this is a Graham light episode, which, considering that it's his last, how dare they?
That was a crime against humanity right there.
a crime against Graham.
And when he was finally given,
exactly.
the bad boys line, the comedy line of the episode, and it was just downplayed by Ryan. It was just like, no, you don't do that. No, yes, you do. That's the whole point of him.
No.
I think
that's
some
part
of
the fun of it. Yeah.
Sorry, mate. I think some of his
it's so flat.
not participating were down to the fact of his injury from his other show when he broke his back.
Could be.
I think
Could be.
maybe.
No,
but
no,
I think
last
this
year.
was filmed before that.
He broke his back last year in States.
Yeah. Yeah. This was
March.
Yeah, but this was filmed. I think. Yeah, this is back in. I think it was filmed over almost a year ago. This because no one was obviously nothing about the masks or anything.
It was filmed with the last batch of Doctor Who, with the last season.
It was filmed in, it says here, October 2019. So.
Yeah. So I think it was before he hurt his back. So
I don't know. I mean, but the thing is, like, Chibnall's got a lot to juggle, and yes, somebody's going to be left on the floor. And you know what? I mean, the fact that it's Graham, I mean, all kidding aside, he had like a lot of moments, especially that first season, that I don't think he earned. And so for him to take a back seat on this one and basically he was Ryan's sidekick in this one, which was really
big time.
like, surprising. Like that was a weird switch.
Mm-hmm. And for me, it felt like the companions were blah for me again. I think Ryan had the one good scene for me was the discussion he had with the Doctor. Mm-hmm. And it was like, finally, he has a heartfelt, good scene. And it's like, where has this been for the last 2 seasons? Because if we could have gotten that version of Ryan throughout, I would have liked the character. And this, it was kind of good. But everything with him on the alien spaceship, on everything about him before, it was just like, eh.
Well, he's just never given much to do.
No, he's not. But I don't think much of the actor, and which is sad because I'm looking forward to seeing him in other things to prove me wrong. And
I think I would give him the benefit of the doubt because I think it was hard to play a character that was so understated and not given much to do.
Right, and then it was almost felt like a slap in the face to put him back on the bicycle at the end. I'm going to get back after all this thing with the TARDIS and I've gotten my life together and I want to do all this thing. I'm going to try to learn how to ride a bike again. And
I like that.
Yeah, actually, I like that moment.
No,
and I like the fact that he didn't succeed. Like we never saw him succeed. I like the fact that he still,
but he kept trying.
He kept trying. He keeps. That's who Ryan is. He's a guy who keeps trying, and he's going to keep trying no matter what. I like that about him. And switching over to Yaz, I love the shove.
Oh, that was great. That was great.
I love the shove.
The shove was good, but it was almost like the jealous lover.
They went
like, where have you been? Type thing.
Well, I thought I liked it because it really played up the fact that time for a creature like the Doctor or even Captain Jack is very different than time for a human. Like decades in a prison when you're an immortal, it's just a drop in time, whereas 10 months when you're a human seems like forever. And I thought that was a nice right. And I thought that was a nice juxtaposition the way he did that. And yes, and I could understand why Yaz. I mean, whether it's justified or not, I could understand her frustration.
But it shows how much she cares too.
Oh yeah. Well, she's been spending the last 10 months searching for the Doctor, and the Doctor then just shows up all nonchalant. Oh, I'm here. Hi. And typical TARDIS, she thinks that they had just gotten there and it's been 10 months. And, the TARDIS once again, the reliable time machine that it is, coming through, when it should have. But it was interesting. I liked that. The shove was awesome. And I would have loved to have seen that the other companions and Yaz were doing other adventures to try to, pick up the pace for the Doctor during that 10 months and such. It would have been a neat little thing.
Yeah.
Like they would have died. They would have died on their first one. So it's probably best that didn't happen.
I mean, they established that Yaz had just become a hermit searching for the Doctor.
Mm-hmm. Locked in the TARDIS, and pretty much. And I was thinking about it. It's like at first I was like, why wasn't Yaz in another room, like a bedroom or something, in the TARDIS? But then you had to think about it. That TARDIS was brand new, and it hadn't been set yet for other rooms or interiors or anything.
Well,
so.
Yeah, maybe she couldn't have. They might not have known how to get to any other part of the TARDIS.
Yeah, with all the circles, she might have not known one was a doorknob or something like that. Oh, and I loved when Captain Jack said, "Oh, is my room there on the TARDIS?" He says, "You never had a room." "Oh, I had a suite." That was just awesome.
He had some of the top lines.
Line. But once again,
yeah,
Jack had some of the best lines in this.
But I think Jack's energy really pointed out how low energy Ryan was.
Oh, any of them. And it was just like,
Well, I thought he had a good banter with Yaz. I thought that worked for me.
I felt like
you mean between Captain Jack and Yaz?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that was a nice moment when Jack was talking to her about what it's like to travel with.
That
the
reminded me very much when Sarah Jane talked to Rose, and there was a realization that they get left behind.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was very much a
Where
rehash
was Wilf?
of that, but it worked well.
No, that was very true. It was very well done, and there was some great conversations. Jack, I think the episode would have fallen flat for me if Jack wasn't there. But I don't even think this was Jack at his best, but I thought it was good Jack. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And everything. So
he added a kind of energy that I think it needed.
Yeah, exactly. Because Ryan felt like he was moping the whole time. Yaz was angry the whole time. And poor Graham
was just in the background.
Graham was not there.
Yep. And that's exactly well put, Mike, because that's exactly what it was. I mean, that's what they were written as. Ryan mopes through the whole thing because he doesn't want to go, he's struggling. He doesn't want to go back. He realizes that Yaz is pissed. And that's it. That's like Chibnall only has one note for each one of these characters. And
none of them have ever been fully developed. It got better, but still I feel like there's something missing.
It's been the biggest disappointment for me throughout. We can say what we want about Chibnall this, Chibnall that, but the biggest disappointment for me is that he hasn't brought these characters, these companions to life. That should be your number one job.
Yeah, exactly. I will agree with that. Let's move on a little bit off the companions for a little bit. I want to talk about the biggest idiot in the episode, and that was Leo, the scientist. Come on. Who would have thought it was a good idea? Hey, I found some old tissue left in the old Dalek monster machine. I thought it'd be a great idea to grow and clone these things.
Wait, can we pause for a second there? Okay, I know that I think they've explained it once, and maybe it's actually in canon or it's not. I don't know, but I am getting so damn tired of every time, for over 50 years, the Daleks have been attacking Earth, but yet every time they're on Earth, we have to explain what they are to people.
I thought that when Prime Minister introduced the drones, why weren't people saying, they're Daleks, they invaded us?
Wait a minute, lady.
No, exactly. It's like, wait.
Dalek, that word means nothing to me. And I'm like, it should mean a lot to you. It should mean a lot to everybody on the planet.
Yeah, Dalek means death to millions of, to billions of people. And it's like...
They've explained it in canon, right? That there's something about, I don't know, something where the people don't remember.
Well, they've hand-waved it away about how the whole thing with the crack reset the timeline.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of
But still, it just shows that Men in Black is in Doctor Who's timeline. Will you please look at this?
I mean, this is also the same plot as Victory of the Daleks, where the
Oh,
Daleks
God, yeah.
are in World War II, though I will say this one did it better because Victory of the Daleks was terrible. But
Yeah,
that's
at
a
least
low- again,
at
a
least
low
Leo wasn't a robot that was meant to create.
Yes,
He was just an idiot. All right. The question is, it basically how the hell did that Dalek create the clone factory that started feeding off the silent green humans, and it's just like, what was that? Was that all done in a day or two, or
No,
was
they
it
did
done?
explain that he had gotten, they had allowed him access to the network. He did everything virtually. He started the company and hired people and directed it from where he was.
But he was only controlled by the Dalek, when he tried to throw it into the fire.
No,
He
the
wasn't
Dalek itself was wired into the network as soon as he created the Dalek.
Oh, so okay, that makes sense. I want to put Wi-Fi to the blob creature that I want to.
That I admit was very
So we're
stupid.
opening box
Yes.
before you throw it into the furnace. Just throw the whole lot in. Just throw the whole lot in.
I know. I would say just
I kept thinking, haven't you ever seen the video of the octopus climbing out of the tank? I mean, what did you think was going to happen?
It's like, dude. It's like, what were you thinking?
Hey, those cases are expensive, man.
I really need that box. My boss is going to want
really
me
want
to
to save the
have that
case.
for inventory. It was like, duh. And it's just like, oh God, the guy was an idiot. It was just like, and I wasn't surprised when, he got killed. Shocker. But I did like the scene when they were in Japan and it was Yaz and Jack and they had the Daleks flinging themselves at them. And one was like a face hugger on Jack. And that was just like, alien, that's awesome, But
that was a total homage to Alien. They even had the venom dripping down in the beginning.
Oh, yeah. But I thought it would have been really cool if they would have had Yaz being controlled by the Dalek. That would have been awesome. It would have made her character a lot more interesting for a little bit. But,
I think they did a good job, not only on that scene, but even the scenes when the Daleks first, turn on humanity and start killing people. I mean, they still are scary. I know it's weird sometimes for us to think about Daleks being, because they sort of look, silly, but yet I do give credit for Doctor Who for continuing to make them look threatening. And when they turn on the crowd, the Prime Minister and everything, I mean, those effects and that the way that's shot is terrifying.
Yeah, I do. I want to point out, I thought the direction here and the production here was really good. They did a very good job with the camera angles and the lighting and the special effects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was great the whole time when they were in the Dalek factory and the light was starting to change very slowly. Mm-hmm. That was really well done. It was
really nice.
No, I have nothing to complain about. Even the special effects with the Daleks flying and, then when you got the Daleks from the time stream coming in, and that was
the
pretty...
Dalek on Dalek violence.
Exactly.
The crumpled TARDIS.
I like the effect as well. The Daleks were blue lighting, and then when they turned evil, they went red.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I could just see toy flashing in my head.
Oh, that's coming. That's coming, Rob. Give it a couple months. It'll be there. You'll be able to say, you'll be able to, with the blue one, it'll squirt out water at you. It'll be cool.
And when it's red,
going
it'll
back to Mike's point
exterminate.
about them being very unnerving and scary. I went to a convention about 3 or 4 years ago in Leeds, and they actually had a Dalek from the show there, and they had it running up and down the convention aisles, and it were really, really unnerving when it were coming past you, and it were turning and looking at you and talking to you and telling you to move, and even though you knew it were being operated, it was very, very unnerving. So I can imagine if it were real, it'd be terrifying.
A few years ago, did anyone know that the BBC used to have little museums that you could visit in London until it grew, and they used to have the Dalek that you could sort of get inside, and you could move. You could move some of the pieces and things. And this was sort of still when Doctor Who hadn't quite come back. It was still in memory, and people hadn't really watched the show for a while, and there were little kids afraid to go up to it. There is something about that silhouette, that completely faceless silhouette with just two prongs pointed at you, that is very, very scary. And if someone was inside it moving, that scared the living daylights out of the kids as well. But it was a wonderful little exhibit, and unfortunately,
I went to the one at Blackpool years ago, and as we paid to go in, we went down the steps, and a Dalek just turned towards you, turned to greet you, and my son, who would be about 5 at the time, just bolted straight up the stairs, and they were gone, and nothing could get him back in. I ended up leaving him and my wife outside and walking around on my own.
Oh, that's awesome. But yeah, the Daleks could be scary, and it was interesting to see, once again, the new Daleks taking on the old ones. And I would have liked to see more battles, truthfully, between them. We barely got that. It was like it was just implied that the other ones were just wiping them out just like that. And I found a kind of like, really? If, I would think there'd be a little more challenge and such.
Yeah, they did wipe out the other ones awfully easily.
I think
they were distracted by Wilf with his paintball gun, so...
Nice shout outs there.
But
no, it was interesting overall. Like Mary had talked about earlier about the collapsing TARDIS. I thought that was really well done. That was a nice little ploy by the Doctor.
Did anybody else have an issue with that in terms of how she dealt with them? Because in past, to me, the Doctors have always given somebody a chance to leave the planet. Matt Smith,
she never said
leave the planet or leave.
No, she never.
Also, we'll have to stop you, and she just, I don't know, I just didn't sit well that with me.
Yeah, I thought ever since New Who's come back, ever since the Time War, they've made it pretty clear that if there's one exception to that, it's the Dalek. I mean, that's what the whole episode with the Ninth Doctor and Dalek, right? Is that he just hates them. Now, you'd hope that there'd be growth and all that, but yeah. I think that there's one that she finds that she can, and she knows she's not exterminating them all. Like they're just kind of keep coming back.
It's not genocide.
Yeah, she's got them on speed dial apparently. Like she can just call them in whenever she wants.
Just don't call it June because they'll come after her again. Yeah,
exactly.
But
yes,
exactly.
They're blocked.
Exactly. But it was interesting because this is not the first time the Daleks have dealt with having to destroy the imperfect Dalek, but it kind of contradicts itself too, because look at what the Dalek, like the Cult of Skaro, was trying to do in like the Daleks Take Manhattan or whatever it was called. And, when they tried to create the human Dalek hybrid and such, but you had in the very first Ninth Doctor story, you had Dalek where that Dalek had evolved because of Rose and it had to destroy itself because of that. And you get into that a little bit in this episode because the Daleks that were here on Earth were imperfect, and they couldn't, they wouldn't be able to
imperfect in the view of the other Daleks.
Well, exactly.
I mean, they're Chibnall's not worried about continuity. He's worried. He's trying to make a statement here.
Yeah, this is about fascism.
Yeah,
and that's one of the tenets of fascism.
It's true. Yeah, there's a reason that characters like Jack and predecessors like Lex Luthor, it's the same thing. It's the same thing that Lex Luthor did in Superman 2.
Definitely was the fascism and corporate, money, greed, the whole thing, and not worrying about who
Not
it hurts,
caring who it hurts.
or whatever. You got that. Jack Robinson was a pure example of that. He was willing to sell out humanity to save his own skin. Typical businessman. You've seen it a zillion times on Doctor Who.
You see it in real life right now.
So definitely was the fascism and corporate, money, greed, the whole thing, and not worrying about who it hurts or whatever,
Not caring who it hurts.
Jack Robinson was a pure example of that. He was willing to sell out humanity to save his own skin. Typical businessman. You've seen it a zillion times on Doctor Who.
You see it. You see it in real life right now.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, there's a reason that characters like Jack and predecessors like Lex Luthor, it's the same thing. It's the same thing that Lex Luthor did in Superman 2.
Well, exactly. Sold out to the Kryptonians. So it was interesting to see. There was, the ending, everyone lived happily forever. I'm shocked the Doctor let Robinson off so easily. I was really surprised by that.
Yeah, I wonder if that was deliberate, not just because he might come back, but because that happens a lot. And, to people like him in real life, they just they get their golden parachute and walk away.
Mm-hmm. Well, exactly. And so that was one of the things that it was just weird. That part was just like, I don't agree with that part.
And Jack didn't get a good goodbye to
No.
me. It was just on
got a voice,
phone or radio, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if they actually recorded that later. Like they thought, we didn't have anything explaining where Jack is, and maybe we should add that in.
Yeah, it was great. He referenced Gwen,
that was nice.
But it was just like, really? I won't be happy with that until we see more Torchwood,
So how Torchwood fans are going, ooh.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. But,
It's funny that Big Finish announced the day after that they were doing some more Torchwood with John Barrowman in it.
Good for them.
Isn't it John Barrowman and David Tennant? I think it's going.
It is, yeah. It's Barrowman and Tennant.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the 10th Doctor. So it'll be very interesting, and I know Yantos could be involved with that one also. So I did think it was interesting how this thing ended. I think the little huddle left me completely flat. I was expecting, they're going to be leaving. I'm going to be in tears. Blah, blah, blah. I really wanted to see the meringue planet. Blah, blah, blah. But this whole thing was just like, I'm glad Graham wanted to be a grandfather to Ryan. I was happy to see that. And, he was taking responsibility. Not like, all right, see you, son. I'll be back sometime, But it was just like, okay.
I don't know. I kind of liked that they just decided to leave on their own, that they had just grown past this part of life.
Do you know in New Who this is only the second time the companions have left on their own? Martha was the first. She just decided to leave. This is the only other time the companions have decided to, leave, because other times they were forced to. Overall,
they got left in alternate universes.
Oh, and a lot of people were saying, they name dropped Rose. Does that mean she's coming back? No.
I know, Mike, you love that.
Oh, I so did. It was awesome. But it was interesting. These guys left on their own accord, and that was it was a rarity for Doctor Who, because even old series, most of the time they married off some Time Lord that they just met, or they were stuck in, or some other thing, or left in a town that they didn't expect to be left in, or something like that. It was just all the way. So this was a rarity that you actually had companions say, I don't want to do this anymore, Doctor. I'm leaving, type thing. So it was very interesting to see.
I wasn't sad about them going because
no, not at all.
But only because of the way they were written. I didn't have as much invested in them as I might have in other companions.
Yeah, in my notes I wrote no feeling of sadness at companions goodbye.
No, exactly. I agree.
I will say that I felt it, but to Mary's point, it was because of the direction and because of Jodie. Jodie sold it to me that she was sad that they were leaving and emotional, and I could feel I was starting to get emotional because of that. But that was not because of them; it was more because of her.
Fair enough. I could see that. It's going to be interesting to see, where they go from here, and we'll talk about some of that in a few minutes. I don't think, there's rumor going around that we might see Graham pop up once or twice in the next season. But, we'll see if that happens, or is that just wishful thinking?
Wishful thinking.
Yeah, exactly. So
where do I sign the petition?
Well, but that then gets into
Bring Graham back. Bring Graham back.
But then,
we have new Graham now. Though.
I know in the UK, it was the end scene was a total surprise for you guys. They ran the credits, and then they had the introduction of Dan, played by John Bishop. Where here in the United States on BBC America, they blew it completely. They gave us the ending of the episode, and then they said, stay tuned after a trailer for this really piece of crap new show on BBC America that will be showing you that you'll be meeting the Doctor's new companion. And it was like, really? There goes any surprise. There goes anything. You guys got the true surprise and everything. And I know they kept this very hush-hush that John Bishop was joining the show, because I don't even know who John Bishop is, truthfully. He's not very well known here in the States. So do you guys want to give him a little info on him?
They did say that when the title started rolling, stay tuned for more Doctor Who news coming, but that's all they said. And then they showed the trailer with John Bishop, which was a surprise. Now, John Bishop's a comedian, a Liverpool comedian. He came probably to notice 5-6 years ago, maybe a little bit more, and he's been on a show called with James Corden. Have I got no? I can't think what they call it. It's a sports show, loosely, and he was on that for quite a while. League of Their Own, that's it. Yeah, thank you, Daniel. And he was very good in that. I don't think he's done a lot of acting. I think he's been in Skins for a few episodes.
Right.
He's not done a lot of acting, but it'd be interesting to see him in it. I mean, I'm not going to say, oh, God, this is going to go wrong or everything, because I thought Matt Lucas were going to go wrong, and he proved me wrong. So
we're still eating hay on that one.
I'm happy to see how it goes.
So, cool. What is everyone's thought on the new companion? Now, because originally we thought it was just going to be a first for Doctor Who, 2 females on running the TARDIS, basically.
No. We can't have a season of Doctor Who without a white guy in the TARDIS.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my reaction. It's like, oh, what a surprise. It's a white guy. I never would have guessed.
From current England, too. Not somebody from the past or someone from the future. No, it had to be current 21st century everyday guy who's going to become the new Graham.
Oh, not everyday guy. He's like perfectly chiseled Roman white guy.
He's like the middle-aged Han Solo.
He's like, let's put it this way: if Jack, Captain Jack, comes back on the show and he's on it, then it's all over. Like,
Maybe that's why he's there. He's Jack's love interest.
And I don't want to knock the guy himself, and I certainly don't want to knock the character without seeing the character in action.
We don't know him. We don't know him.
But my first thought, was, oh, well, keep undermining Jodie, why don't you?
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. I thought it was kind of a slap, when I saw it. I'm going to remain open, and I'll be very interested to see if they're going to do it the very first episode of the new season or wait a couple episodes to bring them in. I'll be very, very curious to see. And, I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to remain open, and because there's a lot of story they need to do for this next season. And remember, the Doctor is now a fugitive once again because she's a prisoner escapee now. On top of
she's always a fugitive. It doesn't really change anything.
No. Apparently they've accumulated over what you said 7,000 whatever
7,000 charges
infractions.
Against
them. So look, I guess they've been trying to find her all this time and been having difficulty or just coming up a day short. Hey, was she? Oh, she's already gone. I think that's just gonna. I don't know. I don't expect that to be talked about ever again.
Okay. Well, knowing Chibnall, no. I don't think we'll even hear about the Timeless Child again. What do you mean?
Well, that I do think we will.
Yeah, actually, I think we will hear more about that. Unfortunately.
That's Chibnall's mark on this show. For better or for worse, that's going to be his mark on the show, and I don't know where exactly he's going to continue to go with it, but.
Well, it'll be very interesting to see. So, kids, any final thoughts on this episode before we rate it? Because we are rating this one. 1 out of 5 TARDISes, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. I'll be very curious to see where you guys go. Daniel, you're the newbie on the block. You get to go first, my friend.
Oh, sure. Throw me under the bus. No.
No, we're throwing you under the TARDIS. Come on.
Of course.
Entirely different.
I wonder what the noise was that I could hear. I'm going to go straight middle of the road. I found that, like, the production, the look of it was perfect. I thought it worked really well as a filler kind of holiday special episode. So it's definitely middle of the road. It has to be 3 out of 5 because there's so many little nitpicks here and there that it just takes it down a notch. As you've been saying, it's nothing we haven't seen before. So you can't say that it gets pushed up the echelons all the way up to 4s and 5s. So I'm going to go middle of the road, 3 out of 5.
Okay. Robert.
I'm going to give it 4. I think it had more good things in it than bad, but more positives than negatives. And it went quick. When it, and I mean that in a good way. When it finished, I thought when it finished, I thought to myself, oh, right, well, that really an hour and 15 minutes? So I was happy. The only thing that knocks it down for me is I wasn't happy with the final scene with Grace. I thought there was no need for that.
Yeah.
We did not need to see that again.
That was
we didn't need that. So, but apart from that, I was very happy with it.
How many times did we get that the first season with those companions? Grace coming back, type thing. We did not need to see that again. It's just Chibnall. All right. Our regulars. Mr. Mike Gordon.
I'm going to give it, a 3. I mean, it's pretty much standard. Am I going to seek it out and, am I excited to watch it again? Not really. But if it's on or if I need to watch it again for some reason, I'm not going to balk at it. It's just, Chibnall put a bunch of used up plots and put them in a blender and spat this out. And he's playing it safe. He played it safe here, he's playing it safe with the new companion. I don't know if that's going to be what Doctor Who is going forward, but it is fine for this. But when the next season starts, I want to see more ambition. I want to see him take more chances.
Okay, Mary.
I think I'm going to go 3.5. I, I overall, I enjoyed the episode, and actually I watched it twice, and I actually liked it better the second time, which usually it's the other way around. And I don't know, maybe it was because my expectations were what they were the second time around. I knew what I was getting myself into. But I really wish Chibnall's writing is it's so heavy-handed and kind of clunky, and he doesn't know what subtlety or nuance are, and our elegance is in a way. And I miss that in my Doctor Who. So it makes his episodes kind of pedestrian and kind of and too often they're a rehash. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't mind that if his take was more different than it is. But having said that, I did enjoy the episode. So I think, middle of the road, 3.5.
Okay. Well, Mary took my score right there. So, because I was going to do 3.5 also. I'm not going to be.
You can still do that.
Oh, I know. We've agreed on stuff.
You can share
before.
Scores.
Oh, we do. You do. You and Dan were like hand in hand, so it's cool. So it was perfect.
That's right.
So exactly. So I enjoyed it. It was fun to watch. If I was giving the show itself the presentation that I saw, I'll give it a 1, just because of BBC America and all the commercials that they threw in. Yeah. You guys said it was an hour and 15 minutes. We had to see it for 2 hours because of the commercials.
Wow.
They threw in.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when you said that. I was like, I can't believe that was just an hour and 15 minutes. You should have watched the way we watched it, because you would have been like, man.
They're guaranteeing I'm not going to watch that new show that's appearing Monday night at 8 p.m. It's just, I enjoyed seeing some familiar faces. I wasn't sad to see the companions leave. I was a little disappointed. My heart broke with Graham leaving, but my hope is that he's going to come back. But he has this, him and Ryan now have, psychic paper, so they're going to be going off to romp around the world now.
Adventures. In fact, they'll be the new Graham show.
As a diehard Graham fan, I get this episode minus 25 TARDISes.
Well, but basically, I could see them, Big Finish Adventures, the adventures of Ryan and Graham, so there's a future out there.
Yeah, it'll happen. That'll happen.
You think so? I can't wait till they meet the Panda Nostra gang, or they meet River Song.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it'll be awesome. So it was okay. I didn't think I got anything new. I don't feel like any of the characters grew out of this. Jodie still knocks it out of the ballpark for me. She is awesome as the Doctor.
Yeah,
and I just wish she got better writing and better show running. I'm going to come out and say it. I'm hoping this next season is Chibnall's last season. I want to see him going. I want to see Jodie with someone better. Who? I don't know. Don't ask me that. That's not my job. I'm a critic. I'm not,
No.
Exactly. So, but because I really do not want to see a 60th season special with Chibnall in charge at all. I think that would be a disservice to Doctor Who. So who knows? That might have just killed our chances of getting BBC interviews on the show. But, still, we love Doctor Who, and I will always love Doctor Who. That's not a question. We did get an email, by the way, and we got an email from our friend Elizabeth Laney. Yay. Hey, Elizabeth. I put a call out on the Earth Station Who Facebook page, which every one of you should be members of. And, why don't you, join in right on Facebook? We got a great crew. We talk about all things Doctor Who, news stories, anything pertaining to Doctor Who. We talk about it up there. So I put a call out there for people to send us feedback at earthstationwho.com to talk about the New Year's special, their initial thoughts on this. So Elizabeth took us up and she wrote us. She said, "Dear ESW crew, Happy New Year's, and thank you so much for all that you do. I've been a big fan of the podcast for many years now, as well as many of the ESO network shows. While I appreciate everyone's contribution to the show, I especially wanted to let Mary know how much I've enjoyed her commentary and opinions.
Aw, we love you too.
Mary, I love the perspectives you bring to the reviews and have been cheering along at home at some of the points you've made this last year. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. That is so sweet. I'm so glad you've been listening.
Like her ego wasn't big enough already, you know?
I know. That's what happens.
We can't get rid of her now, Mike.
No, I know.
Because then we'd lose Elizabeth. We can't do the show if we lose Elizabeth.
We will not ever lose Elizabeth.
Our one listener.
Mary, you have a job for life, so it's good. Elizabeth also wrote, I've been half-heartedly following the last few seasons of Doctor Who. Like many, I love the actors, but not the stories. So I got excited about the New Year's special, but ended up not enjoying it very much. There just didn't seem to be anything special about it. Even Captain Jack's appearance was not as exciting as I wanted it to be. I did watch the whole episode, unlike Matt Smith's Time of the Doctor, which I just couldn't finish. You were not alone on that one.
Yeah,
right?
I can't blame you for that.
No. I thought the companions were pretty morose throughout the episode, and the Doctor just didn't seem to have the sparkle or manic energy that I love. And we spent way too much story time with lackluster antagonists. I didn't like all the Christmas episodes from Smith or Capaldi era, but I missed the magic of the really good holiday specials. Thanks a lot for everything, Elizabeth. Thank you, Elizabeth. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much.
So folks at home, definitely, we want to hear more from you guys. Also, Elizabeth does thank you for the email, but we want to hear more from other listeners. So please write us feedback at earthstationwho.com. Write us what you thought. Let us know what your thoughts on this episode. We'll talk about it. It's always good to discuss things. And it's okay if you don't like something. That's the great thing with our show. We don't love everything that we see. We're not one of those, yay, Doctor Who is great. We love everything. Woo, wah, right? Yay, Ryan. No, we don't do that. That's not us. We've never been that way. So please, folks, if you have any comments, any thoughts, please write us. We definitely would love to hear from you guys. And that is going to wrap up our first episode of 2021, folks. The rumor going around is that Chibnall wants to get these episodes out, the new ones, as soon as possible. So he's saying that we might even get it October, November of this year. I'm not holding my breath on that one. I am not holding my breath. So
they're starting filming in March, aren't they?
They've already been filming.
Yeah, they've
already been stopped, haven't they? John Bishop's got COVID.
Yeah,
he's been diagnosed with COVID and he's been quite ill.
So yeah, I've heard they did a stop in middle of December, I think it was.
Yeah.
Well, he tweeted he'd be ready for work in January. However,
that's even better then.
I mean, I don't know. I'll be actually surprised if they start up in January just because of what's going on with COVID right now.
Yeah, and the new strain and everything with the world right now. And, it's going to be really weird to see everyone standing 6 feet apart from each other on the Doctor Who side. Yeah. So,
the TARDIS just got even bigger on the inside.
Exactly.
You have a lot of Zoom episodes.
Exactly. That would be awesome for them to do an episode. The Zoom monster. Ah! Yeah. Wait, where did Mike go? I don't know. No one would miss it anyway, so it's okay. No, but it would be awesome to see where they're going to go with it. But we'll be here. We will be coming back to you guys in 2 weeks. We got another episode, and we will be talking to you then. But before we do, let us thank our guests for being here. Rob, thank you, my friend.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been a blast as always. I love it.
It's always great to have you on, especially this year. It is just awesome to see your smiling face, my friend.
Thank you very much, sir.
And Dan, you made it through your first episode with us.
I'm alive! Yay!
Exactly.
No, thank you so much for inviting me. It was really good to talk about this episode.
You want to promote Cosmic Pizza one more time?
Oh, yes. Cosmic Pizza Podcast. It's serving up a slice of life. If you've got interest, if you've got something you really want to passionately talk to us about, come on the show and we will interview you and we'll ask very silly questions, I'm sure. But reach out to us at cosmicpizzapodcast@hotmail.com for any feedback about our shows. Go back and listen to all the pre-ESO ones as well, so you know what we're talking about. And it's wonderful to be part of the ESO network.
It's great to have you. And of course, let's thank our regulars for being here. Mr. Mike, we made it through another year, my friend.
We did. And see, usually I say it's always my pleasure, but you threw me when you said we made it through another year. And yeah, I can't say that last year was a pleasure. But one thing that was a pleasure and is always a pleasure is hanging out with the ESW crew.
Most definitely. And of course, Mary Ogle, thank you.
Oh, thank you. I can't believe we made it through that year. And I am just hoping to the universe that this year is so much better for everyone.
Are we going to call 2020 the year that shall not be named?
Yes.
Awesome. Mary, you want to promote your stuff?
Yes, you can find my artwork at maryogle.com or on Etsy at eVision Arts.
Excellent. And Mary's work is such amazing stuff. You definitely should check her out. It's definitely worth seeing. And do you do custom make stuff, or do you just do prints and such?
I do custom stuff. I do magazine illustration. I do book illustration and design. I do commissions. Just contact me through my website.
People, what are you waiting for? She needs work. Come on. This is what we need.
Please
Come on.
Contact me.
Dial her right now. You have a smartphone. Definitely contact the young lady. She so deserves it. And thank you guys so much. Our numbers have been going up. Everyone's been, listening. And this is new Doctor Who, but we also have a lot of other Doctor Who love to go. We're going to be talking a lot Big Finish this next year. We're going to be talking about a lot of classic series, and also you never know what else might pop up. We might have just Doctor Who discussions, the new companion, yay or nay, something like that. You never know what could be happening. I'm not so sure about us doing convention appearances in 2021 because I don't even know if any cons are going to be happening. But until then, my name is Mike Faber. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening. Everyone out there, glad you had a great new year. 2021 is looking more positive already. And until we see you next time, peace and love. We will see you all then. Ciao. And we're out of here.
You have been listening to Earth Station Who, a bi-weekly pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talents from across the universe. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individual and are used for entertainment value alone. You subscribe to our podcast up on iTunes, Stitcher, or follow our blog at www.esopodcast.com. You can also follow us up on Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. If you enjoyed the show, please leave feedback up on iTunes.
Here at the Cosmic Pizza Podcast, we make every show from the finest ingredients.
Juicy interviews, fiery film nights, delicious Desert Island DVDs.
And pack it all into a slice of life in every episode.
Order up our specials now from your delivery guys.
Sean from Canada, Dan from Kent in the UK,
and Paul from near Liverpool in the UK.
Here on the ESO Network.
The Cosmic Pizza Podcast.
Serving you a slice of life.
Mm-mm.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.